Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to Law and Ethics. Welcome to this class. I'm really excited to teach it over the next few months. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoy learning about legal issues, legal challenges, and just the background of legal navigation in the United States, especially in healthcare. And of course, I'm sure all of you already know healthcare is very litigious, so there's a lot to learn about, and we can work together. And I always learn something in this class, right? Especially when we're doing our papers, which will be, coming up about midway through the course. I always learn new things, new case studies, really cool things that we're going to be able to navigate together, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. The cool thing about this class, it's fully online, so the lectures are pre-recorded. These are check-ins as well that I list, so this is actually not a lecture. I call these check-ins, and I do these weekly for you guys. This is just our initial one for the start of the class, but just based on the fact that this is online, I want to make it as interactive as possible. So every week I do a check-in video and I give you some great information that you can take away to make sure that you understand what's coming up that week in the class, and that's going to be based on our modules, which we'll go over here in a bit. But fully online, pause your lecture, come back to it. You just have to make sure you submit your work on time. That's the biggest thing. One thing I want to highlight, and we'll come back, I'm clicking on course content here, but kind of hopping around a little bit more than I normally do, but I'll navigate and show you where I'm going here in a minute. But I wanted to highlight, just because it's online doesn't mean you don't have interaction with me or any of the other students. We have office hours Thursdays from 8 to 9 a.m. This is completely optional. You don't have to log in every time, but if you're interested in talking one-on-one, maybe you want to talk over the phone, Zoom, whatever works for you, you just let me know. I set that time aside, but I also have time throughout the week as well. So we'll work together to find a time that works best for you and your busy schedule. All right, I'm going to navigate to the side. I'm going to have to pause here in a bit. I'll have to do that throughout the video because I'm moving the screen around. So I want to make sure you can see what I'm clicking on here. You could probably tell I'm on course content here. I'm going to click to the announcement section. So the announcement section is where you're going to see the check-in videos, due dates, things that posted by me that relates to, of course, very important things in the class, reminders, stuff like that. So your check-in videos will be located in the announcement section, and you can just play those videos from the announcement section. All right, let's navigate to the course syllabus real quick. Course syllabus, and I got my highlighter here, which will show where that is, course syllabus. So I'm going to click on that. And exit drawing here. Course syllabus. Well, I'm supposed to click on it. All right, I'm going to move the screen again for you guys. So 3 different things that you really want to make yourself aware of: the syllabus, the schedule, and the PPS form. Of course, PPS is something that's actively considered in of course, your classroom setting, but it's also considered in a Blackboard setting. So make sure you're getting your work done on time, you're participating, all the things that you would normally do in a classroom setting, being professional, that kind of stuff. You got to do also in an online setting. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that because I don't normally have challenges with students being professional, but make sure you're aware of those requirements. Let's click on the course syllabus real quick. All right, so the standard syllabus, right? You guys see this in other classes as well. There's not a lot of difference. So the one thing I want to highlight is to make sure that you have the, of course, textbook. So your textbook is the Cengage textbook, Applied Law and Ethics in Healthcare, the first edition. It's a great textbook. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's not too huge. You guys seen those like A&P textbooks? They're like 500 pages long. It's not as complicated as that from the perspective of you having to read a ton, but the information in it is pretty complex in some regards. So make sure you have that textbook ready to go and handy. And we'll do overviews in the lecture and such, so you can grasp the detail. And I also try to put supplemental videos in that helps as well. Just the standard information here in the syllabus you can read through yourself. Make sure, of course, you do all the things that you would normally do in a regular class. Just because it's online doesn't mean it doesn't have the same kind of requirements. One thing I like to highlight too is just to make sure you understand our, how we're evaluated. So we have 2 exams, both 15% apiece, exam 1 and 2, and then a final exam, which is a huge percentage, 30%. And then you have your review questions. They're not done every week, but they're done most weeks. Those are about 1 to 2% each. And then PPS, of course, is 10%. And then the all-important paper presentation, which is worth 15% of your final grade. So that's really going to help propel you into a great grade in this class, just to make sure you're keeping up with these things, getting a good grade. Maybe you struggle on exam 1 some people do, just getting the hang of how law and ethics, the questions and what kind of stuff we're studying, but they usually really rebound in an exam too and do a good job on their paper, which is really important. All right, I'm going to exit out of this. Course schedule, but I skipped over something in the syllabus, which is at the bottom of the course schedule, just the course objectives. You guys need to make sure that you understand these course objectives, and they're pretty standard to law and ethics classes, but you guys are going to be able to go through each core objective in this class as we navigate through the chapters. So this is how the schedule looks. It's it's kind of the same as some of your other classes as well in regards to the layout, but it goes over the due dates, when things are due, and when things open up. So of course we're going to be on week 1, and we're going to make sure that we get our review questions done by the 19th. This is an extended week for you guys, which is a great thing, and I'll put that in the announcement. But since it started on a Thursday, I'm not going to have your first module due on Sunday because that'd be a really quick turnaround. It's actually going to be due on a week from Sunday, so the 19th. So Sunday's the 12th coming up. Your first module is not due till the 19th, which will really be helpful for you guys just to orient yourself into the class. So take a look at this. Keep it handy. It's subject to change. There might be things changing in this, but other than that, it's pretty clear. All right, I'm going to exit out and head back over and change the view again so you guys can know where I'm going. All right, I'm not going to actually highlight this time, but we're going to skip over course content, do that last. We'll click resources. The resources section just named the textbooks. Sometimes we have online textbooks in some classes. This class, of course, is paperback, so I just list the textbook name here if you're interested in pulling it up online. Sometimes there's online versions from the textbook, and you feel free to use those if you're interested. And I'm not sure if ours uses it. I just use a hard copy. You can use whatever media you want. All right, let me click on tools. Tools is a lot of online resources, and I'm not going to scroll through all this. You're not going to see the bottom left-hand side over there, course management, but you'll see everything else. But there's a lot of information in here about your grades and videos and just basic things from Blackboard's perspective. We don't really use tools that much in this class. Let me go to instructor, and then I'll take a pause and reconfigure the screen. I didn't do a background on me at the beginning, but I just wanted to do that before we got too far along in this first video. But I've been in healthcare admin for almost 20 years now. Worked in Alaska for quite a while, and then worked, of course, I work right now at Providence Medical Group. But yeah, I've had the privilege of being involved in a lot of complex challenges in regards to the healthcare setting where legal had been involved, and I've been teaching law and ethics type classes for 10 plus years, dating back to some time in Alaska as well. So I'm well versed in the subject. I'm not an attorney per se, but I do have a master's in healthcare administration, and I'm finishing my doctorate in business administration. I only have 2 classes left in that, and both of them, of course, have components of law and ethics type work in there. So, I'm not just a person that works 24/7. Teaching is part-time for me, but I really enjoy it. It's something I want to do in the future when I finish my doctorate, move into a full-time setting in the teaching atmosphere. But, some of the things we enjoy to do family-wise, a wife and 2 kids, we, spend a lot of time in Alabama, which we have, a couple of, we have 2 homes there, which are both condos that we use to go to football games and such. So we're huge Alabama fans, and sorry for stealing your coach if you're a Washington fan, but he's doing pretty good right now as we record this video, so hopefully that continues. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me do a quick overview about myself, and let's navigate over to the rest of the section on the left side so you know where I'm going. PMI mail is just going to show you how to access your email. Of course, the library is something that's going to be a really great tool that we are going to use in the future when we're looking up legal cases. Google Scholar is another thing that we've used in the past, but the library is super helpful. And then the help centers, if you have any challenges with Blackboard, like from an IT perspective, they're going to be able to help you navigate through that. All right, let's click on the course content, which is where the majority of the information will be related to this class. And I'm going to pause and reconfigure it again. All right, so we talked about the office hours. Those are just listed up there 24/7 if you need any thing, you're always welcome to reach out. You can email me anytime. I'm really quickly about answering within 24 hours at the max. I usually get back within a few hours, so just reach out to me if you run into any challenge, or, of course, if you want to meet, I'm happy to meet anytime. Something that I've put in here, community forum, it's just something that if you find anything useful out there, any tools, any tricks that you want to share with the rest of the class, or if you have any questions that you also want to share with the class as well, I can answer where everyone can see. Feel free to look on the community forum there, okay? The video that says start legal research early, you're more than welcome to take a look at that now. It's just a reminder that we do have a paper coming up, but that's not something that we're going to focus on right away. I'm not going to also focus on the legal research part of the course either in regards to going over that. We will talk about APA, legal research, and writing in the future. Don't stress about that right now. We got quite a ways before that's due, and we'll talk about that in the modules upcoming. But we're on Module 1. Of course, it's going to be an extended week like I talked about. So down here at the bottom, our review questions are not going to be due until a week from Sunday. But as you can see, this is going to be the layout of each module. Module 1, Chapter 1, The Big Business of Healthcare and You. You want to read Chapter 1. Make sure you watch, of course, the lecture here. And then watch the 2 supplemental videos. And I try to include supplemental videos in most modules to help navigate through the class. And sometimes some of these experts can say things differently than I do, so I want to make sure to use their perspective, of course, on public domain in order to, really make sure you grasp the material. A lot of great information located here, of course, some handouts, some PowerPoints, your PowerPoint from Cengage, and then there's an extra PowerPoint here I had in a previous lecture that's not included, but you're more than welcome to take a look at that as well because it has some similar information. All right, your Module 1 review questions, like I talked about earlier, there are 8 multiple choice matching questions. It's just like a quick homework to make sure that you watch the video and read the material. It's not going to be due until the 19th in the day, and that's the Sunday, and I'll put that here in the announcement as you're watching this video. I feel like that's a really solid overview of the course so far. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. There'll be another video posted on Saturday. So again, we have an extended week, so I'll go into more detail about the class on Saturday as well. But this is a great start for you guys. Start reading the material, looking over the class, and if you run into any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Email me really quickly. I'll answer, and happy to help in any way I can. Thanks so much. Appreciate all the effort, and thanks for watching this video.